Today I'm answering one of your art questions about Inktense versus water-soluble graphite. Hi, I'm Lisa, the artist behind Lachri Fine Art. Today's question comes from John, who says, I'm an avid Inktense user looking to get into using soluble graphite drawings. Is there a massive difference, and how do you handle whites and highlights? A lot of what you know from Inktense you will apply to your water-soluble graphite, like how to blend and how to move that pigment around. So you're not really starting completely from scratch. Some of the differences, the main difference really with Inktense, I really take advantage of that white Inktense block, and I can put my highlights on top of darks with no problem. I'm not, when I work with the Inktense, generally depending on the white of the paper showing through for highlights, like I would with watercolor, for example. Water-soluble graphite, I'm going to work light and work my way down to my darks because I need to let the white of the paper show through. There's no highlights. You can erase a little bit with water-soluble graphite, but not that much. Like you can a little, not a lot. So ideally you want to protect the white of the paper as much as possible. And for me, that means I just don't go too dark too soon. Or the areas that I know are really, really dark, I go ahead and block those in. But areas that are going to be lighter, I'm going to slowly darken things to get them where I want them to, because if you go too dark, you're not really fixing that. Unless you want to get into mixed media. Let's say you wanted to put white acrylic on top, which is pretty obvious. It's not the same media. Or if you did the white Inktense block, you could technically put that on top. But again, you're back to, it's pretty obvious it was not the same medium. I definitely think with water-soluble graphite, it looks far, far better if you let the white of the paper show through for those brighter highlights or brighter areas than to try to add another medium on top to make it white again. I will say I think that water-soluble graphite is a bit easier to get the hang of than Inktense because you're not worrying about colors, you're just worrying about your values and getting things blended how you want. So I definitely would recommend jumping in and getting started with those. It's a fairly inexpensive medium to start with. I'll put links in the description if for anyone watching who is wanting to get started with those. I personally use Faber-Castell's water-soluble graphites. Those are just, they're wonderful, absolutely wonderful to work with. But again, start light and work your way down to darks because they only erase so much. They erase better when you haven't added water, but once you've added water, you can lift some of the pigment, but not a lot. Would you like me to answer one of your questions in one of these videos? I have a link listed in the video description that will take you to my website, which has a forum. Sounds like a lot of steps. It's not as many steps as it sounds like. Just click some buttons and you can submit your questions there. Have you subscribed yet? If not, I have a handy button right there. It's round, has an orange arrow going towards it. If you click on that, that'll help you to keep up to date with all of my new art videos every single week.